You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lain, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. We are in the absolute peak of the replanting season. So there's actually two seasons. Actually, there's three or four or five. Anyway, we won't go with that deep. But basically, there's a spring planting season. Most people put their plants, their tomatoes, their flowers in then. But as the rains come at the higher elevations, this is actually a peak time. It's a better time to be planting things like trees, like fruit trees, especially the bigger ones. So I've got gigantic trees of miniature trees that are fruiting trees. So nectarines and plums and peaches and apricots. They're spectacular. They're glorious. Some have fruit, but you're planting them now so they root out in the gardens or in the containers, and then they flush with new growth next year. They'll be fully rooted. You'll get a bumper crop of fruit that way. Berries, grapes, figs, pomegranates. This is your time. This is when they prefer to be planted. Things like crepe myrtles, Rosa Sharons, smoke bush, butterfly bush, desert willows, chase trees, and go on and on. They're all the summer bloomers. Summer bloomers prefer to be planted when it's warm. They celebrate the warmth. They want warm soil. They want warm evenings. They want it to be warm. Some of you gardeners, you're like that. You'd much prefer summer than the winter. You just like being out in the sun and tanning yourself on a beach and just warming right up. Well, there's plants like that too. And so they prefer that. And this is the time. Here's the reason it's so good. It's because the pressure's off. As the rainy season comes, even if we don't have rain, you've got humidity. You can kind of feel it in the air. You've got some cloud cover. Oh, plants just love that. Cloud, a little bit of humidity. The soil is warm. It might even rain this week. That's a magic planting season. What you'll find is you even have more success planting now than you did in the spring season. I mentioned there might be 3 planting seasons. Now, in other parts of the country, they say fall is for planting. Fall is the best time. Fall, it is a good time to plant things. But I find people plant little tiny scrawny things in the fall, and then they forget to take care of them. They're not out in the yard as much. So they just don't catch the mistakes that happen. Whereas now you plant, you're out there in the yard and you see things. You're communing with your gardens, the plants, the environment. You're hiking around. You're just enjoying butterflies. You're out there. In the winter, you're not so much. The fall. So if you're planting large trees, large spruce, like the big size, like a more mature size, not just like taller, bigger, wider, not a tiny one. Don't go. It's all about root ball size. The bigger the root, the more forgiveness you have, because the more soil it can take from. That goes for any time of year, but especially the fall planting season. Other parts of the country, you plant, it gets bitterly cold. The ground freezes. It's like in stasis out there. Nothing happens. And so the plant comes out next spring and just takes off with new growth. That's why fall is for planting in other parts of the country. Here, monsoon is for planting. This is a far better time to be planting. And because the soil is so warm, you plant in the spring, the soil is cold. The plant sits there. It's going, I'm not rooting out in this. The soil's like 40 degrees. What am I, like a polar bear? I'm waiting it out till the soil warms up, especially those plants that are summer bloomers. Your yuccas and agaves, your cacti, these things prefer the summer. They want the soil to be warm. And so that's why I say this is that time when you can flush new growth on plants. The same idea, but an established plant, it got stressed out. I mean, some of my plants got beat up in June, first part of July. It was hot and dry. I might have missed a watering. I don't know. The irrigation might have clogged. It just got stressed out. So for those plants that I want to flush, maybe you got a new house. The plants look scrawny. They're not big enough because they're just youngsters. Force them to be mature and grown up. So you're not allowed to be a a 12-year-old anymore. You got to be out there looking good, like 18 to 20 years old. I want you outshining all the other neighbors' plants out there. You look glorious. I want to take pictures of you. Grow, grow, grow. Fertilize them. Just fertilize those plants, and don't fertilize with just anything. Use an organic food. So I make a food here at the garden center. It's called all-purpose plant food. I know I could have been more original. All-purpose organic plant food. All-purpose make things real fast food, but it is all natural. It is made to interact with our soil and our environment and our rain and your irrigation. You put it on the rocks, it slowly breaks down, goes to the rocks, and all that fabric gets into the root zone and just feeds the worms, feeds the roots, tickles the feet of plants so they just want to take off. And you will see more leaf growth. You will have more flowers. You'll have I just cut back all of my sages, salvias, my catmints, because they've been blooming for months. They look kind of tall and ratty. The flowers, there were flowers on it, but they're just long stem. They just didn't look good. So I gave them a quick haircut. They felt beautiful about it. And then I fertilized them with some all-purpose plant food, and they have erupted with new growth. And they're in full bloom now. So you can trick plants into coming into bloom again, and they feel better about you when you do that. You feel better about them. Everything is better. The birds will sing better songs. I mean, just the hummingbirds, they'll be attracted because all the plants are so beautiful and they have more flowers. So you can have the fertilize now. Take advantage of the monsoon rains. No matter how much we get, it's an opportunity to push new growth on those plants, to have another set of flowers come out on those plants. It's a game changer, and you can do this. So I did find I have some bugs showing up, and so grubs. I've been finding grubs in my garden. Doggone, I've been putting some new plants in. This white worm, it's C-shaped, big curled up. When I find one, I just squish them between my gloves. I mean, it's brutal, I know, but I don't want that thing in my garden soil. They live in the soil for up to 2 years, and then they come up in the summer months. When the soil is warm, they start to dig a hole, they dig their way out, and they become a beetle. So these beetles flying around at night, they're attracted to the lights, they're buzzing you, the June beetles, there's all kinds of beetles. We're famous for our beetles. We probably have more than other parts of the country because our soil is where the moisture is. So they're actually living down there where the soil and nutrients are instead of up here out in the dry, crusty air. And this is when they come back, and when they fly up, they're looking around your gardens for plants soils that have moisture, that have good nutrients, lots of organics, maybe have some plants because grubs eat roots for a living. And so when they come up to make whoopee and find a mate and go lay more eggs, guess where they're looking to lay eggs? In your gardens, because it's the perfect grub place. And we've got so many different types of grubs or beetles that you can often find them. I've got certain areas in my garden where I can count on them. They always love laying eggs there. And so I find them. So I know to look for them, but I missed a couple plants and they got stressed out. One died. Others are stressed out. I corrected it. I put a grub killer down. They're all good, but don't let grubs kill your plants or stress them out. They eat the roots off the plants until there's not enough roots to support that top growth. And now we get a hot day with a little bit of wind. The roots can't keep up with the perspiration. Literally, plants are perspiring. And so the roots are picking up the moisture from the surrounding soil and rejuicing the foliage. This is not technical botany terms. I know how to do that, but then we're talking Latin. This is the big picture. This is how it works. So the plant can't keep up because there's not enough roots. And then they suffer. The leaves get black on the tips. They're struggling. They start to drop leaves because they can't support all that top growth. So they start to sacrifice some leaves, trying to stay alive. The plant's trying, but the grubs are down there eating the roots off the plants faster than the plant can grow new ones. And so there's this vicious cycle until you break that cycle and kill those grubs. There are several killers. They're super easy to kill off. It's just sprinkle on the ground and water it in, and your grubs are gone. That's how easy. But don't let if plants are stressed out, come see us. Bring a soil sample, bring a leaf. We could diagnose this. We probably know what it is and can help you. Water's garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, trumpeting vine, and butterfly bush.
Monarch and swallowtail butterflies flock to Water's butterfly bush with spectacular 8-inch flowers filling the yard with fragrance and beauty.
Heat, drought, wind only make this shrub bloom more. Tough enough to grow in clay, but hardy enough to shine in containers.
With so many colors to choose, every yard should have at least 2.
You'll only find impressive butterfly bush at Water's Garden Center in Prescott. For a more fruitful garden, increased success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit watersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Water's Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.